Good morning and welcome to Powertranz live show where we cover all things e-commerce in the Caribbean. Our guests join us from all over the world and generously share their expertise, knowledge, and insight into the digital world and how we operate within it. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and if you're joining us from LinkedIn, thank you. Don't forget to like and follow our page to continue seeing content that'll help you grow your online business. Today, we're discussing how to integrate Tilopay with your shopping cart. I'm joined by Eldred Garcia, Senior Vice President, Business and Partner Development at Powertranz, and Henry Nane, I hope I pronounced that correctly, CTO and co-founder of Tilopay. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, very nice to see everyone.
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay, well, we're going to get into it because it's 60 minutes and people think that's a lot, but it truly isn't because when it comes to e-commerce, there's so much to cover. So I want to start with a general question because what's very interesting within the Caribbean, we think, within the e-commerce industry, we use this terminology so well, but outside, how does the Caribbean and Central America view e-commerce and what exactly is the current state of e-commerce? Who wants to take it?
All right, if you want to take the first question before that, you did pronounce my last name right, so that's totally fine. So I'll let Eldred elaborate afterwards, but yeah, in our sense, there was a clear before and after the pandemic. Our region was already a little bit accustomed to some e-commerce due to Amazon, to Uber, stuff like that, and people were already doing a fair bit of spending online, but mostly to external merchants, right? So after the pandemic, there was a big shift on the offering from merchants to consumers, and there was a lot more options for consumers to buy from local merchants as well, whether that's Central America or the Caribbean, almost all over the world, but any region that was a little bit behind in e-commerce, we kind of took several steps forward, maybe not to the level of a mature environment like the US or Europe, but the whole region took a huge steps forward, and mostly because there was a lot more offering, a lot more technology. The confidence was almost already there, due to the fact that people are already used to interacting online and doing transactions online. So there was a big growth that came out of that, and honestly, at least from our perspective, it hasn't stopped. Growth continues. People, merchants specifically, kind of realize the benefits of offering digital e-commerce, digital goods, digital services. Whether that's retail or the hospitality industry or the service industry. We've seen that all of these have been greatly benefited by the fact that consumers are more used to spending online.
Thank you for that, Henry. And I think I want to head over to Eldred and ask about how are platforms like Powertranz and Tilopay helping businesses, because during that time, like Voldemort, that should not be named, it was a lot of navigating what exactly do you do, how do you connect with your customers, and unfortunately, it took that sort of mandatory mindset to have people shift over to this online conversation. But there's still a lot of things that people are trying to learn and understand, because it is a shift in the digital, as Henry mentioned earlier, compared to the US. But how are platforms helping businesses? Because I think that's extremely important around this time.
Well, Pauline, you're correct, and everything that Henry said is also right on point. E-commerce is definitely growing. It was obviously driven by all the things that Henry said. There's an increased of internet access, which has also helped. The mobile adoption has also helped grow the experience of internet, of e-commerce. And there's a whole set of new generation that are digital first consumers, right? So that they're used to accessing the internet and consuming through the internet. But like you mentioned, all this change and all this growth has also exposed that we don't have all the modern payment tools readily available for everybody, and there's a large learning curve of wanting to open up a business, but what do I do? How do I do it? And this is where, like you mentioned, where Tilopay and Powertranz come together in a partnership to essentially bridge that gap, right? To bridge that learning gap, providing that onboarding of those payment tools, whether it's simple plugins, and we'll get into that. I have a website right now. It's basically a digital brochure. How do I take payments? And adding that component of to be able to take payments, leveraging Powertranz Gateway to take payments, but also leveraging the technology that Tilopay brings to the table to make that process, that connection to our gateway, very easy. And this is where the value of this conversation comes in. So people are aware of e-commerce, people are aware that it's growing. They're still part of in that learning curve, and this is where Tilopay and Powertranz partnership come to bring that value to the marketplace of bridging that gap.
Thank you for that, Eldred. And I think there are a lot of terminologies and words that we all are guilty of using because it's something we do every day. And not to worry, anything that you're not clear on, Powertranz blog explains just about every single thing that we've covered. So in the past, when it comes to, we've been doing this live show for a few years now, and I remember Chris, who is the CEO of Powertranz, mentioned a lot of times that people will go ahead and hire a web developer, have all these plans, but don't realize there are a lot of challenges ahead when it comes to what's compatible in the Caribbean. And I think that is extremely important, because when you're excited, and I've been guilty of this as an entrepreneur, you're like, I just want to get it done, but you're not actually doing the research that is required. So when it comes to being plug-in ready and integration, with websites, with your phone, because that's where we're spending most of our time, Henry, I would like you to elaborate on why that is super important, and it's a game changer when it comes to being a business owner, exploring e-commerce and developing it in our region.
Yeah, so it is a game changer, and it's one of the reasons our region was lagging behind is a little bit related to this, and that's part of the reason why we're catching up so quickly. So e-commerce in more mature markets has been driven by self-service e-commerce platforms, whether you call it Shopify, whether you call it Wix, whether you call it WooCommerce. These are kind of pre-built softwares that convert a website into a shopping cart, right? So, and when I say pre-built, most of them are almost turnkey, right? So they don't require a developer, they don't require a designer, they don't require, well, maybe a copywriter to do a little bit of the texting, but they're really, really close to ready to be shipped or ready to offer to the public. But these platforms, despite the fact that they're offered all over the world, you can basically be anywhere in the world and get a Shopify account, for example. They're all have a couple of things in common, that they require at least two local things, I guess you call it, or extensions. Which is, one of them is the logistical one, because you're obviously going to ship your products from where you're at. That's the origin of where you're sending your product or your service. So you need some kind of logistics, whether that's a service or product. And the other one is payment. That you didn't used to be a local component, because there's some international players that can provide some payment options, but they're all very, they're kind of expensive. They're a little bit inefficient in terms of getting the money quickly. So those are all barriers to actually scaling a business online for any kind of merchant, right? Whether that's small, big, or medium. So that's kind of where the gap that we try to fill in along with Powertranz is the fact that we can we went to these shopping carts. We took it to over 80 of them around that, and we told them we want to provide a local extension to accept payments. And that's exactly what we did. So when I say plug and play, it's literally is plug and play. You get your Shopify website. You'll go into payments in the payment section in the configuration. You choose Tilopay to accept your payments, and then on the other side, on your Tilopay account, you connect that with Powertranz, and all with simple, password, login and password kind of information. No technical knowledge required, no developer required, and you're able to accept payments. Almost immediately and in your local bank, right? And that's kind of the big difference here, because whether it used to be very hard to get your funds to deposit into your local bank account. Now it's really easy. I mean, you just connect this plugins or extensions into your shopping cart, and you're able to accept payments on your local bank account. And as quickly as you're ready to receive them, or your bank offers, right? I mean, we have most of the banks that we work with deposit funds on T+1, right? So it's almost immediate, and it's very, very similar to most brick and mortar solutions. So it helps you scale, it helps you have some confidence in the online world. It helps you build helps you plan forward and know that the funds are going to be there. Your consumer is going to be able to pay for everything online the same way they pay on the brick and mortar side. So it does. It's a big paradigm shift on how it used to work, which is that you used to have to create your own extension and connect that to a bank or to Powertranz and then to a bank. And between Powertranz and ourselves, we've bridged that gap, and there's no technical knowledge needed, basically.
Well, that's good news, Henry. Thank you for that. And you mentioned a terminology, plug and play, which is something that it's used, back in the day with your radio. And, for the kids out there was like tapes and stuff. It was a trying time. But when it comes to going online and e-commerce, especially with Eldred currently sitting down in Trinidad, maybe you can give us some examples of a typical customer who benefits from this plugin solution, especially with Carnival. As much as it's celebrated somewhere in February, March, we start somewhere in July, August. So can you give us some examples on how this will benefit customers?
Sure. Just to, real quick, add on to a little bit of what Henry said, just to make it very simple. With all these new merchants coming on board and requiring different types of connection, we at Powertranz, I've said this before, we've taken a best of breed approach, and it's a very similar situation from the merchant side that it is from ours. For us to be able to develop all the different types of plugins that exist out there, maintain them, and keep up to speed with all the ones that are coming in, it was much easier for us to partner with Tilopay, who, like Henry says, supports over 80 different plugins. And this will facilitate a merchant being able to plug in or connect very easily to us. Now, when we talk about what's your typical customer, it ranges, right? So it can be a local retailer, it could be a restaurant, it could even be a service provider. Right now, we're talking to service providers that they need to be able to quickly connect to us. The best way to connect to us is through a plugin, versus developing something for them. Specifically, the partnership that we have with Tilopay facilitates that plugin. So basically, depending on what they choose, it's a high likelihood that Tilopay already supports it. And as new plugins come into the ecosystem, Tilopay is there. That's what they do. They have that connection or that integration with all those different plugins to really facilitate all these merchants' wants or needs. And it takes away a lot of the heavy lifting from us of having to either develop it ourselves or maintain it. That partnership really brings that value to the market. And now we're able to offer clients, merchants, whether it's a retailer or a restaurant, a service provider, access to over 80 different types of plugins that are in the marketplace.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. We do have a question on LinkedIn from Ian Nair. Sorry if I butchered your name. But we will answer that question right after the break because we have so much to cover and we're going to show you a quick demo because if it's one thing we're going to do for you today is share with you how to integrate Tilopay and Powertranz into your shopping cart. And we're going to do that by actually showing you how. So we'll be right back after this break.
My name is Henry Nane. I'm one of the co-founders of Tilopay, based out of San Jose, Costa Rica. We're a payment services provider and technology provider for merchants in Central America and the Caribbean. I'm here to show you a little bit what the platform can do, specifically with our very deep integration with Powertranz and how you can take advantage of that. Going into details now, into one of the four main tools that we have. The first one is platform integrations. We offer direct platform integrations with over 80 platforms that we have. I'm going to show you real quick all the platforms that we have. Obviously, we have our own tools, Payment Link, recurrent payments, credit card payments. And also we have an on-site solution for Shopify. You can connect your Powertranz account with any Shopify store in your market. And we offer the only on-site solution, meaning that you can request for credit card details on the Shopify checkout system. So that's exclusive to Tilopay in this region. And we also integrate directly with Wix stores, same solution as Shopify. We offer on-site payments. And we also offer redirect payments on both Shopify and Wix. We have the only certified WooCommerce integration in the region as well. We're part of the WooCommerce marketplace, and that means our solution is certified by WooCommerce, certified security for PCI and everything. As you probably know, WooCommerce is an open source platform, so it's very important that you have a certified payment solution, and we can offer that. We also offer a BigCommerce integration. We're the only platform that offers BigCommerce integration in our region. We have an integration with Odoo, with Magento 2, with Adobe Commerce Cloud, which is kind of the same thing. We also have an on-site integration with BTEX and also recurrent payments with BTEX. We also have recurrent payments with Wix and with WooCommerce. We have EasyWid. There's some local solutions that we have, Avify, Bloom. And then we go after Bloom. All the ones you're going to see here are mostly hospitality solutions. Avantio, Booking Leon, Orbis, Simple Booking, W Studios for gyms and that kind of systems. Charge Automation offers a lot of integrations directly to other platforms and offers their own solution for hospitality. And all these down here are going to be hospitality, and all of them have information and tutorials on how to connect Tilopay to all of them. So you can, this list is open to anyone that wants to see it. If you go down here to documentation guides in our website, you're going to see down here a list of all the platforms that we have. So it's the same link. So you can kind of look at it on our public website. These are your own credentials. There's some basic instructions on how to connect your site to Tilopay, but they're all kind of based on the same thing on 3 credential pieces: API key, API user, API password. These are the 3 numbers you need to use to integrate a platform with Tilopay, and that's it. That's all you need to do. And just follow the instructions. For example, if you go into Shopify here, and there's a step-by-step guide that you can use to integrate Shopify with Tilopay, and just use the credentials here that you have set up for your account. These are unique to each account.
Wow, thank you so much, Henry. You're in multiple places at the same time. It's amazing. So if you're just joining us, welcome back. We're here to discuss how to integrate Tilopay with your shopping cart. So we're going to welcome back Henry and Eldred, and we're going to get straight into it because we do have a question that we want to answer from LinkedIn. I work with Powertranz in my delivery app, and it was hard to deal with because we use Flutter and there's not an available plugin. Can I move this to Tilopay? And if so, how will be the migration?
All right. So we don't have a direct integration to Flutter, but we do have an SDK based on a browser-based environment that's being used by custom applications, whether that's Flutter or React Native or any similar ones. They're using our SDK to bring over our payment form without delegating the PCI aspect of it. So to kind of tell you a little bit how that works, our SDK is able to provide you with all the form elements for a payment processing, credit card number, expiration date, etc. But once the user enters the payment information, we are able to encrypt it on a browser-based encryption plugin that we use that allows you to transport the credit card details within your Flutter application without exposing the credit card number. So that means you're kind of delegating the PCI aspect, the security aspect of the integration over to us, that we are PCI certified, and we're able to decrypt that credit card number and process it and send it over to Powertranz. So that's a really important aspect, and it's the solution that we would recommend for any custom applications, because we do have an API that allows you to redirect users to a payment form, which is sometimes useful depending on what the environment is. But for custom applications, we do offer an SDK that's available to any browser-based environment that you can bring. With Flutter, you can bring up a web view and basically custom build the form as needed, bring over our tokens available for the user, bring over the different payment options that we have. It's all available through the SDK. So that's the route I would recommend, and that's also available in part of our documentation online in our website.
Well, thank you so much for that response, Henry, and thanks for that question, Ian. So that leads us to a great segue, actually, as to what e-commerce platforms are currently supported by Tilopay and Powertranz.
All right, so the complete list of platforms is very long, so I'm going to divide it in kind of three main buckets. The first bucket are going to be our own custom tools, and they're all going to try to position who is it used for, who is it useful for, right? So we have our own pre-built set of tools. So these tools are our payment link provider. With this payment link provider, you can and you can also associate a catalog to it. But it basically allows you to create a custom payment form. Say I want to charge Eldred $50. I go into the application, create a custom payment link, and you're probably going to see that in the demo later, and send Eldred a URL, a unique URL to pay these $50. So it just goes into the URL and pays for it. It's called a payment link or a payment button, right? You're able to share this almost anywhere. We offer plug and play, copy and paste coding. We're able to send it through email. We're able to load WhatsApp or just copy it, so you can send it through Instagram or Facebook. So that's one of those tools. The other tool, and you can create a QR code for that as well. The other tool is our recurrent payment options. We offer a full plug and play recurrence payment solution. Basically allows you to create a plan and specify the frequency. For example, if I want to charge my customers $10 a month, I create a plan that allows you that creates a unique URL for that plan, and I'm able to share that URL to my customers. And once they go in, they enter their credit card details, and we're going to be charging them $10 a month because that's what's set up on the plan. So that's our other solution. It's very, very robust. I barely scratched the surface there, but happy to go into details if needed. And the third solution is our API and SDK offering. We offer almost 95 to 99% of our functionality through APIs that you're able to interact with. We just talked about that a little bit. You're able to interact with our application and generate any almost any functionality that's offered to our administrative platform. You can do it through the API or the SDK. Those are kind of the first big bucket. The second big bucket is the retail platforms. From my experience, retail e-commerce has been dominated by, between 8 and 12 platforms worldwide. It's obviously a lot of offerings, but you kind of see retailers and regions kind of all migrate towards the same 8 or 12 platforms that are offering, depending on what's available in each region. So so what we try to do is identify which of those platforms are currently being used a lot right now. You're obviously going to see some known names like Shopify. That's one of the most used platforms, not just in the world, but even for our merchants as well. It's very, very powerful. Wix stores is another really, really powerful solution. A little bit tailored to a different kind of retailer, a bit smaller because it doesn't have that many integrations with Shopify, but it's still extremely powerful. VTEX is another very popular option here in the region. VTEX is very strong between bigger enterprise merchants, and we've seen some big names going to retail as well, into VTEX as well. BigCommerce is more of a B2B solution, not exclusively, but I've seen that it's being used more into the B2B environment, into the headless environment. Headless means that you kind of bring over the BigCommerce elements into your own application, and then BigCommerce kind of does the heavy lifting for e-commerce stuff. So we also integrate there. WooCommerce is extremely popular. There is a bit of a caveat with WooCommerce. Most of the WooCommerce source requires you to download WordPress and install it in your server. There are obviously a lot of options now that you can kind of get your own server hosting solution and then just automatically install WooCommerce, WordPress there and include WooCommerce. So, but there's always a little bit of very light development work that needs to be done for WooCommerce. There's a little bit of a gap, but it's so popular and it's been around for so long. It's also a very powerful solution, and the extension directory for WooCommerce is huge as well. So I've seen WooCommerce being used by all sizes of merchants, and not just in our region but around the world. So it's another really good solution. Let's see now. I think I covered most of them. Obviously, Magento and Adobe Commerce Cloud. It used to be much, at least from the appetite that we see on our merchants, it used to be much more popular. It's not as much right now because there's a lot of development work that goes into Magento, and there's some really good competitors like VTech. So that's the other option.
Okay, I think we're gonna just step back a bit because that is a lot of technical information. And we'll elaborate more on that for sure on the blog. And if you want to sign up for future updates with Powertranz, we will definitely put that in the comment section. I'm gonna point somewhere. It's gonna be somewhere depending on where you're watching this. But I just wanted to step back a little bit and ask Eldred, what exactly is a plugin? Because we've used that a few times. And just for the layman person who may not, is now trying to find themselves in the e-commerce space, can you just give us a quick explanation for the common man, which is me, what exactly is a plugin?
Well, Pauline, thank you for that, because as I was listening through everything that Henry was saying, it clearly demonstrates that there are a lot of options. And for a new merchant, this can seem overwhelming, right? Which one do I pick? How do I turn my website that right now looks like a brochure into something that I can actually take payments, whether you're selling a product or a service? Do I simply need to send out a payment link so someone can make a payment and send it to me? Or do I offer multiple things on my website that I actually need a shopping cart? So you can select some items, put it in a shopping cart, and then go to a payment. So that process of making that decision is really where the value of that partnership with Tilopay comes in. So a plugin is, how do I connect my website to a payment gateway? There's a lot of different options out there, as you heard with Henry. There's could be simply a plugin of a laundry list of plugins that you can choose from, but which one do you pick? And this is where the value again of Tilopay comes in, having a conversation with Henry and his team to determine what type of payments there are you needing for your business. Is it a simple payment link that you're going to need to send out? Is it a QR? Is it a shopping cart scenario where you're going to have to gather information or gather products and services and put them into a bucket so you can add them up and then select payments? This process doesn't need to be as complex as it sounds when Henry was listing, over 80 different options. That's what they're there for. Being able to schedule a call with Henry and team and talking to them about what is it that you do? What is it that you sell? Is it a product? Is it a service? Do you need a shopping cart? And then they can very easily filter through all the different options and tell you, look, this is the plugin that you need. You can very simply use our plugin connection to Powertranz, or if you're new to the game and you need a little bit more hand holding, if you will, Tilopay does that. They will hold your hand. They will not only give you the plugin, but they will help you service that business until you get familiarized enough with e-commerce where you can take off by yourself and only need that plugin to connect to make a payment. You no longer need those services. But Tilopay offers that full service, whether it's just a simple plugin to connect to us or that hand holding throughout the process until you get up and running.
All right. And we appreciate all this information. And speaking about hand holding, let's head over to the next demo because QR payments are being widely used all over the world by customers. And because of the two individuals who are representing Tilopay and Powertranz, we're also capable of creating QR codes for payments as merchants. So here's how to create payment links and QR codes with Tilopay demo. We'll be right back after this.
Very easy to set up a new payment link. You hit the new payment link button that's over on this side. And there's some very basic forms, input forms, a concept test for the demo. This is the concept for the payment link. You can choose the currency. You're only going to see currencies that you have payment methods good for, and the amount. See $100. And you can add some optional fields. So for example, I can restrict this to a specific recipient. So if I want it to be used by just one person, I can enter the recipient's name here. If we have that recipient in our database, you're going to be seeing an optional pre-fill that you can use here. So the user it's already pre-filled and you don't need to fill their details anymore. You can also specify a URL to redirect after a purchase. This URL is going to send you some callback queries or parameters. Basically, if you want to integrate the payment link to a specific external system, this is a good way to do so. Just enter the URL you want to send them to, and we're going to be sending the URL with all these parameters that we have right here. But again, if you just want to generate a very basic payment link, you just need to use this three input fields here. Here's the information. We haven't received any payments for this link right now. This is the sharing icon that we have right here. There's a lot of ways to share. You can download the QR code. This is downloaded in SVG. That means it's a vector-based format, and you can print it out as big as you need to and have anyone scan it on their phone. You can send it through email. We have an email sending tool. We have a WhatsApp sending tool. Just enter the number here. You can just copy the link and send it to someone specifically, which is what I'm going to do right now. But before I go, one final tool is that you can embed it. You can copy the code and you can embed this payment link. It's just going to show up a button that says Pay with Tilopay. You can obviously, if you know a little bit of coding, you can adapt it to what you need. It's going to show you a button you can just click and show to your users. So any one of these solutions are going to be sending you to the link that we just copied here. I'm going to paste it here. And you can see this is, it was pre-filled for my users. You can see all the credit card tiers that I have. So I'm going to take that out so you can kind of see how it looks. Test for demo 2. Generate payment link. And we can continue the demo here. Copy link. And here you can see the payment link. It will be shown to a new user that's not registered. They can enter their email address here. If their email address here is already pre-registered with us, the user doesn't need to enter their billing address. It's going to be shown up here. If the user is not pre-registered with us, we're going to be asking the user for their billing address here. Very simple solution for billing address, depending on if the user is pre-saved with us or not. You can see the credit card form. We only show MasterCard and Visa because that's how we set it up on the other side. Number, expiration date, code, and if this user wants to save this card for any purchases at this merchant or any one affiliated with Tilopay, they can do so here. Parallel process, it's not gonna interrupt the purchasing process. It's completely optional. And you can just click on pay here. I'm not going to do that because I want to spend $100. This is our payment link solution. There's an extension to this that's a catalog. You can create kind of basic landing pages for catalog uses. It has kind of the same data for a payment link, but it shows a little picture and the description. So it's very useful for social media, social commerce. You can send the link for a specific catalog item, instead of just sending a plain old payment link, and it's going to show the picture here. So gonna go real quickly. $100 demo product. If I want to send a specific URL, I'm not going to do that right now. Short description for the demo product. And here I'm going to choose very quickly toothbrush. All right, here we go. Create this, and it's going to show me the same sharing tools that I had before. So I'm going to click the copy so you can see how it looks. So if you send the user this link, and it's a static link, it's going to show you the product, and the user can see what they're buying here. Demo product, short description for the demo product, and they can just continue the purchasing process as we discussed earlier. So it's a very useful tool for social commerce. You can have as many products as you want here.
And welcome back. This is Powertranz live show where we cover all things e-commerce in the Caribbean. And if you're just joining us today, our guests are joining us from all over the world, generously sharing their expertise, knowledge, and insight into the digital world and how we operate within it. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph. And if you're like Dallas and joining us from YouTube, don't worry, Dallas, I'm coming to your question just now. Don't forget to like and follow, subscribe to our page, and continue seeing content that will help you grow your business online. So, today we're discussing how to integrate Tilopay with your shopping cart, and we are joined by Eldred Garcia. He is representing Powertranz. He is the Vice President of Business and Partner Development. And our demo, our how-to teacher today is Henry Nanin, CTO and co-founder of Tilopay, and the guy who refused to spend $100 to showcase how his product works. You know, gosh, the sacrifices need to be made. Anyway, so we're gonna head over to Dallas because they want to know what about online services with recurring subscriptions, membership payments. Is there API documentation to read over? So Dallas is joining us from YouTube. Who wants to take a stab of that question?
All right, maybe I can start. We have a wide variety of solutions for QR, so for recurrent payments. So I'm trying to go one by one. So the first one is we integrate with recurring payment solutions already on platforms, very specific ones like Wix stores offers a recurring solution, WooCommerce subscriptions as well, and VTech subscriptions as well. Those are the three that we offer right now integrated to platforms. If you don't want to use a platform, we offer our own standalone solution for recurrent payments that I was saying before, that you're able to, as a merchant, create a payment subscription plan and basically generate a link, a subscription link that you can send to your users. They're going to enter the credit card details. So we're going to start billing that credit card the amount that was specified in the plan. You can specify a free trial. You can specify different modalities. You can specify webhooks for different events that go on. So that's our built-in solution. And finally, we also offer an API integration for recurrent payments. So if you have your own custom application, you want to manage your own recurrent logic, I guess, you can use our API to generate a link that a user can store their credit card, whether that's an external payment form or through the SDK. We store that credit card on a tokenized form, on an encrypted form, and we send you the token back. So you're able to store the tokenized version of that credit card, and whenever you need to perform a payment, just send that token to us and say, I want to charge this token this amount. And there's a specific endpoint in our API that processes recurrent payments. So that's kind of the three options that we offer for recurrent payments. We like to think that we kind of cover 99% of cases with that, but we're certainly open if there's a specific case that needs to be taken care of.
Well, thank you for that response, Henry, and that question, Dallas. And you just preempted, Dallas, our demo, because that's coming up in a bit. So stick around. We're actually going to show you how to do it. I was going to ask my questions, but apparently YouTube has other ideas. So back again to YouTube, Howard and Dennis. Does one need a merchant account or bank agreement to use Tilopay?
So the answer is yes and no. I'm going to answer part of that question and leave Eldred to answer the other part. We operate as a payment facilitator in some countries in Central America, and we offer as we operate as an ISO aggregator on the rest of the market. So we integrate to over 30 banks in Central America and the Caribbean. Most of those through Powertranz, actually. We're able to offer our solution to any country in Central America and the Caribbean, whether that's directly with us or with a bank affiliation directly. So if you're in a region that's covered by a payment facilitator agreement, you don't need a bank affiliation. And if you're not, if you're one of the countries that requires a bank agreement, you can use Powertranz to connect with them. I don't know if Eldred, you can expand a little bit on that part.
Sure, Henry. So the best way to describe this is when you are a merchant, essentially you need a merchant ID. You need merchant services. You need to know where you're going to get your monies that you do transactions with at the end of the day, right? So you want to have a bank account to deposit those money when you take a credit card transaction. And like Henry says, and I had mentioned before, Tilopay is a full service partner. They do not only offer plugins, like I mentioned before, but I also mentioned that they will provide additional services. And one of those services that Henry mentioned, used the word payment facilitator. A payment facilitator allows Tilopay to operate in Central America, for an example, where they have a relationship with a financial institution, and they can have a direct relationship with a merchant, and the merchant simply has to work with Tilopay. Tilopay will generate that merchant credentials that you would typically get from the bank. Tilopay can handle all that work, if you will, because of that relationship they have with those financial institutions or those banks in Central America. As we move into the Caribbean, that model it has still not matured enough. So what Tilopay does is that they work in tow, if you will, with the financial institution, with the bank, which means that the merchant needs to go to the bank, establish a relationship with the bank. The bank will then provide the merchant with the merchant ID or those credentials directly from the bank. And then that merchant takes those credentials and works with Tilopay to add that plugin or add those additional services. So in the Caribbean, typically, you will establish that relationship directly with a financial institution or a bank. In other, in other countries like in Central America, you could work directly with Tilopay without that relationship directly with the bank. Now, having said that, that payment facilitator model that I was explaining in Central America, we are trying to bring it into the Caribbean. And the reason is there are a lot of smaller banks that model will help accelerate bringing those merchants on board, setting them up, and having them start operating. So yes, there are two models, and at the end of the day, there is a banking relationship that is going to be required. So when you request a payment and the customer makes a payment, you want to make sure that you get deposits in your bank account.
Okay, so when it comes to this conversation around payments, especially recurring payments, I think it's super important for Caribbean businesses to understand what exactly is it and what's the benefit. Because, for instance, I just signed up for an app on Apple to try to teach me how to learn Spanish because Duolingo just was not doing it for me. So the reality is you sign up once and that just comes out of your payments, and obviously you get notifications and so forth. But in the Caribbean, I think it's something that we're still processing. So I would love for you guys to have two different perspectives on, just give me one quick benefit as to why Caribbean businesses should look at recurring payments. So we'll start with Henry.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, there's something else wrong with the mic. So very quickly, what I see the main advantage is that you only need to ask your user for their payment details once, and then you can keep providing your service on a continuous basis without needing to request the payment details again. So basically, very similar to what you just described, or maybe if you're subscribed to Netflix, you enter your credit card details just once, and then you keep getting charged on a monthly basis until you don't no longer want the service, right? If it worked for recurrent payments, you will need to ask your user to enter the credit card details every single time you need to request a payment, even if it's the same payment on the same frequency. So that's obviously a very cumbersome and efficient way of charging for services, especially if it's the same amount in the same amount of time. And it's also a very easy way to kind of lose customers, right? Because it's always a pain to get your credit card out and you look for the number and figure out if you're in a safe environment and the whole thing. The other thing that could happen is that your credit card could be expired. So maybe if you have a tokenized recurring payment solution and your credit card expires, where we're able to ask the credit card brands, Visa and MasterCard, hey, this credit card is expired. Do you have the renewed version of it? And if Visa tells us or MasterCard tells us, here's the new version of that card, we automatically store that tokenized credit card. And your user doesn't have to enter their credit card details again, even though they expired and they got a new card. So we can do that directly with the brands.
Wow, Henry, you just taught me something. I mean, this was quality content. I didn't even know that was, I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. And in the background, all of these things are working. So Eldred, just give us, another quick benefit and we'll head over to the demo after.
Well, one of the benefits of this partnership, I think Henry mentioned it before, a merchant who is familiar with developing their website and a payments can also develop reoccurring payments on their own side and then connect with Tilopay to essentially process it. From our perspective, we're basically getting a transaction, whether it's coming from a reoccurring service or coming from a one-off transaction, we're going to process it just the same. The important thing to take away from this is the value of this conversation is if you're a merchant that has the capability or the knowledge to create your own reoccurring services within your website, within your organization, that's great. Tilopay will help facilitate that. If you are new to the game and you want to have reoccurring payments and don't know how to do it, working with Tilopay, you can leverage their reoccurring services. So either way, the value of reoccurring is obviously there for, as Henry said, you capture their information once, and you're able to provide those reoccurring payments or that service on a reoccurring basis without having to reach out to the customer. But knowing that you can either do it yourself or work with our partner Tilopay to facilitate that, that's huge.
Okay, and on that note, I think the best way for anybody to understand what we were just speaking about is to show it. So let's get into this demo on how to set up recurring payments with Tilopay. We'll be right back.
And finally, we have a recurring payment solution. This solution is very useful if you have a business that requires a recurring payment solution. So I'm going to set up a demo recurring plan. Here, the description for the demo recurring plan. I can set up the frequency. I'm going to do it monthly, which is very normal. I can set up the currency here. Select the integrations. This is the one that I just did for the demo for Powertranz. I can set up a setup amount. So for example, I want to charge my users $50 to set it up initially. And we do one attempt per day, so I can choose how many days are going to be attempted to retry a user that their card is denied. So I set up how much I want to charge my users per month, $100. So I can also allow different modalities. So if I want to add, gold is $100 and silver is $90 and bronze is $8. I can also choose to allow a free trial if I want users to have whatever amount of days they want to use for a free trial. I can also set up some optional data. If I want to limit this plan to a specific amount of renewals, if I want to ended on a specific date. Also, I can add specific URLs, a thank you URL or a canceling URL. This is optional. It's obviously embedded with all the codes if you want to use it to connect to an external system. And also we have a set of webhooks for these 5 events that we have: registration, payment made, payment rejected, unsubscriber, reactivation. And all these payment hooks, if whatever you set up here as a URL, you're going to be receiving this information that we set up right here on the little information icon whenever one of these events are kicked off for this specific plan. So it's very easy to integrate to external systems. So I'm going to add this plan. Again, the same sharing language here. You're going to see the recurrent payment plan for Powertranz with the logo that we set up here, the demo recurrent plan title that we did, the demo description for the plan. All the options that we have set up previously, gold, silver, and bronze, are set up here. And the activation cost that we set up. This could be 0, but I set it up as 50. So if I choose the bronze plan and the activation cost, I'm going to have to be paying $130 specifically. I can, once I enter my email, I can see all my pre-saved cards, or add another card here. This time we don't give the option for users to not store their card because it's for a recurring plan. So if the user wants to sign up, we need to store the card. So that's why this is kind of a different language right here. And we also have coupons. Let me show you real quick how those coupons work. Before I go into coupons, there's a list of subscribers. There's a whole bunch of tools that you can use for subscriber. Markup payment is made, advance payment, retry payment right there. So anything that we can do regarding payment, pause the subscription, change the date, change the amount. You can do that, all that with your subscribers. And also you can create coupons. You can create a coupon with a code or coupon with a BIN number. If you want to use a coupon with specific cards, you can do that. Or if you want to do it with specific coupons, you can add a coupon right here. I'm going to do this for all registered users. It's going to be a percentage, a 10% discount for anyone that signs up. I'm going to set up an end date for this coupon. It's going to be May on 2026. This coupon is going to be used for 10 different users, and the number of valid renewals. That means how many times the discount is going to be applied on the frequency. So if I have a monthly frequency and it's set up here 6, this user is going to get a 10% discount for 6 straight months. So every month you're going to get a 10% discount, and then on month 7 you're going to get a 100% charge of whatever was set up for this plan. And also I can limit the amount of times that the same user can use this coupon. So it's usually 1 per user. This is the coupon code that we have. So if I go back, let me store this coupon code. If I go back to recurrent plans, I'm going to go into this recurrent plan. Load it up right here again. Fill out my plan here. And fill out the coupon. If I apply it right here, there's a 10% discount that's going to be applied. You can see the discount applied right here. And that's how coupons work.
So welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Powertranz live show, where we cover all things e-commerce, where guests join us from all across the world to share their knowledge and insight into the digital world and how you can be part of it. So if you're just joining us, be like Christopher. He's joining us from LinkedIn. Don't forget to comment and follow us to see future content on how you can manage your business online. So today we're discussing how to integrate Tilopay with your shopping cart. And if you have just seen the how-to, that came from Henry. He is joining us from Tilopay, as well as we have Eldred from Powertranz. So shout out again to Christopher from LinkedIn, who is currently in the process of receiving their merchant ID from a bank in Barbados to facilitate transactions. So let us know, be sure to sign up for future live shows so we can follow your journey. Okay, so we have our guests. We're going to bring them back in. And if you want to learn more, don't forget to sign up, because there's some link somewhere there, depending on where you're watching this. And if for whatever reason you missed the how-to and you want to catch up, just subscribe to your channel and we will repost those videos. So we are almost out of time. So we're going to close off with some advice, because we've had quite a plethora of information shared to individuals who may be trying to navigate this e-commerce space and trying to figure out online shopping for their business. So we'll start with Henry. What advice to a Caribbean business owner who may be hesitant to go online? What advice would you give to them?
So it's a kind of maybe a two-part advice. First off, whenever you're choosing the platform you're going to be doing e-commerce with, whether that's payment links or using something as complex as VTEX, whatever solution you provide, there's two things you need to take into account. The first off is that don't overcomplicate things. If you have a small catalog of 4, 5, or 6 items of services that you want to sell, maybe up to 10 or something like that, the simpler the solution, the better. Once you're able to offer your customer a way to pay for that item and manage the orders, that's almost enough. And the simpler and the faster you set it up for yourself, the better it's going to be. The bigger the platform, it's not necessarily the price that goes up, but the complexity goes up. So that's one of the first big choices you need to make. And then the other part of that advice is that, again, make sure which platform you choose, because once you're into that platform, doesn't really matter how easy it is to set up, how interesting the customer journey is and how easy it is to buy. You got to put a lot of effort into putting data into it, whether that's pictures or variations or inventory. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into that. So once that's in that platform, it's very, very hard to migrate that to another platform. Whether, doesn't matter what anyone tells you, there's always a big pain in moving inventory and catalogs from one platform to the other. So be sure to choose the right platform from the start. Get informed into which platforms are stronger for which applications, which type of merchant. And once you've made your choice, be sure to kind of go in and make sure that the catalog and the information you plug into this platform is up to speed. Because you may be thinking, I need to upload 100 products, but your client is just going to see one. So if you upload 100 products and one of them, out of the 100 products, one of them has a typo, and your customer happens to see exactly that product, you may think it's only 1 out of 100, but the customer is going to not buy that specific product. So again, there's a lot of effort that goes into it. Make sure you choose the right one, and that's right for your business.
Thanks for that, Henry. And I feel like you were talking directly to me when you said make it simple, because we have so many ideas and we want to execute them all at once, Eldred. So we need to make sure and have some clarity on our direction and what we want to do as entrepreneurs. And that is just some solid advice. So Eldred, heading over to you. You have the last word on advice you'd give to businesses who are now introducing themselves to the online space.
Well, thanks, Pauline. And again, thank you, Henry, for all the valuable information that you shared. As a takeaway, I would tell you e-commerce is evolving. It's growing. It's been growing really quickly due to a couple of different factors. Henry mentioned COVID accelerated the growth of it. But the thing to take away is that as it evolves, there's a lot more feature functionalities, capabilities in order for you to develop your e-commerce business, right? You saw Henry demonstrate if you will, the complexity of developing a recurring payment. There's so many different features and functionalities, and it's okay if you're new to the game. That's why we partner with Tilopay, so they can help those customers hit the ground running, whether they want to develop it themselves and leverage Tilopay, or they want to get into the game and quickly adopt all these different feature and functionality. Henry mentioned a couple of different things in conversation. One of them was social commerce. As e-commerce evolves, it has evolved into social commerce. So think about social media, so Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. Those social media channels are now evolving as well to take payments. There's different ways to take payments in social commerce. Henry mentioned a couple of those, right? Whether it's payment links or QRs. It's important to understand that traditional e-commerce, as we all know it as a web page, and then developing a shopping cart. That is not only what's available in the e-commerce world. It has evolved into social commerce. They both have different feature functionalities. They both have different ways of taking payments. The important thing is, as you decide to get into this business, whether it's e-commerce or social commerce or both, know that when you're working with Powertranz, what we do in the background is identify those strategic partners like Tilopay that can help you very quickly get up to speed, and be able to compete and grow your business very easily. So if you have questions after this, reach out to us. We'll connect you with Henry and the team, and then you can ask all those questions as you start developing your business and trying to expand it and grow.
Okay, and on that note, thank you so much, Eldred and Henry, for joining us today as we discuss how to integrate Tilopay with your shopping cart. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube, because this information is nowhere else. Trust me, I looked. So make sure you follow us on YouTube and LinkedIn to be notified for our next Powertranz live discussion. See you soon. Bye, everyone.